There are actually some rookies sliding down draft boards right now. We really need to talk about it and how we're going to prepare for our rookie drafts. Now, I need to say this up front because last time we did this video, it turned into this whole thing. This is a hypothetical scenario, okay? So what we're doing is taking a 3-round mock draft from CBS Sports, and we're going to take these hypothetical picks, so the draft capital they get and their landing spots, and we're going to act like this is how it happened, okay? So if this were to play out like this, how would we draft? And the reason that I have to preface with that, and I have to say this as well, these are not our rankings, okay? This is, again, just an exercise. It's just hypothetical. If you want our rankings, here they are. They're linked right here in the video. You can click on them. You can go see how we have these rookies ranked as of today. But for example, in the last hypothetical situation, in some oddball world, you had Dylan Sampson go way ahead of Quinshon Judkins, and so we drafted Dylan Sampson first, and everybody proceeded to throw a huge fit about it. And what we need to get out of the way is we have Quinshon Judkins ranked 20 spots ahead of Dylan Sampson, and so these aren't rankings. But hopefully understand the purpose of the exercise is to act like the draft happened, see the draft capital, see the landing spots, and then how would we draft? How would the Dynasty community draft? And let's take a look. On the screen, you have the pool of players, their landing spots, and what their draft capital was in this hypothetical mock draft. And when you're looking at this, I think a lot of things stand out here, but you'll notice that the clear 101 in Dynasty rookie drafts here would be Ashton Jeanty, who goes at the 110 to the Chicago Bears. Not only does he get that coveted top 10 draft capital for a running back, but he goes to the Chicago Bears, where you have Ben Johnson coming in. You've seen him working an offense with both Jahmyr Gibbs and David Montgomery, and they've both managed to be not only fantasy productive, but like running back one level fantasy productive. David Montgomery, alongside Gibbs, was almost a running back one this last year. He had some injuries and things like that, but the dude was scoring touchdowns at a running back one rate. We know it's one of the most dynamic offenses in the NFL, and bringing in rookie Ashton Jeanty to play alongside Caleb Williams, who, is a dynamic quarterback in his own right, in a Ben Johnson system that we have seen proven for fantasy football production in terms of running backs. I think this is probably, this is a dream landing spot for Jeanty. It really is a dream landing spot, in my opinion. Bolster the offensive line there. You're going to be in good shape. Jeanty's going to be the 101 in Dynasty if this happens. And I honestly do fully expect him to be the 101 in Dynasty drafts. We have him ranked 101 in our rookie rankings.
120, Omarion Hampton goes to the Denver Broncos to replace Javonte Williams and be the top option bell cow running back there under Sean Payton as a play caller. I think this is one of the two dream landing spots that people really have in the first round for Hampton. It would be Denver or the Chargers, pretty much. And I think with him going here in the first round, he would be consensus 102, not even a question. There would be literally no debate whatsoever. This is a very straightforward pick, in my opinion, where I don't think anyone would miss a step with this. He would just be 102 would kind of be in a tier of its own. I
think it would too. And then you get to the 103, and you have a couple different ways you can go here. I do think if you have Tet McMillan get top 10 draft capital, I'm going to be taking him at the 103, especially with the way this draft played out. He goes to the Saints, where
he will fall further.
You've seen
a lot of people will not take him there, which is crazy.
Which I will say that I will. I think he would be in this tier no matter what, and I would take him at the top of this tier. But going to the Saints, I think a lot of people would question the landing spot. And obviously, the quarterback situation there's going to be a little bit shaky. Derek Carr's not their long-term solution, but you do have to keep in mind Tet McMillan's very young. It would be a little bit of a longer-term play here. And he does go into an offense where you had, Rashid Shaheed was productive last year. Obviously, very different type of player, but Tet McMillan does have that stretch the field ability, not in a burner speed type of way, but just with his athleticism, his length, and his ball skills. Going there, he played alongside Chris Olave. These two would fit very well together. And Chris Olave is not like a true dominant alpha one, and so you bring in that guy Tet McMillan who can play X and play X effectively alongside somebody like Chris Olave who might take some snaps out of the slot and be that guy at the sticks that's going to get those easy targets. I think it would fit really well there. Again, the draft capital is really important. The hit rate on top 10 wide receivers is very high, and going to the New Orleans Saints, again, I think he would have a very competent wide receiver 1A, 1B relationship with Chris Olave. Obviously, you'd want the situation to get better, but I think there's a whole bunch of guys you could take here, and I still lean Tet McMillan with the 103 in this scenario.
Yeah, and I will be taking Travion Henderson, who goes second round in 29th pick in the second round to the Washington Commies. I love this landing spot. I think this would be great for a guy like Henderson, who excels in the pass game as a pass blocker, who even has some receiving capabilities as well. This is something where I don't really know if he would be shorted because of Jaden Daniels' rushing upside, but Daniels only had 6 rushing touchdowns last year, and if you saw the way that they utilized those running backs once they got into the red zone with Brian Robinson, Austin Eckler, and even Jeremy McNichols as well, every single one of those guys was getting goal line carries consistently. Jaden Daniels is one of the best dual threat quarterbacks in the NFL, straight out as a rookie, but I don't think that's going to keep a guy like Henderson from having an elite level ceiling in an incredibly explosive offense, especially when you just saw what they did in free agency with wide receivers. They went and they got Deebo Samuel. They got a couple of other like wide receiver 3 options. I don't think they're really going to plan on getting a big name wide receiver in this year's draft. And if that's the case, you're probably going to see a very similar passing game to what they had last year, with an elevated run game with Henderson being the top option, the number one really bell cow there. So that's a dream landing spot for me. I would love to see that.
And you know, I don't even think you have to worry about Brian. Him and Brian Robinson would play very well together. I mean, their different strengths would complement. I mean, everything that Travion Henderson is good at, Brian Robinson sucks at, and so it would be a pretty good situation there. 105, I'm going to go Cam Ward. I'm going to continue to push Cam Ward up the rankings with some of these not running backs, wide receivers that are starting to fall down in the second now, and they do in this mock draft as well. But with Cam Ward, I know at the 105, where you're like probably if you have this pick and you had it and you earned the pick, you are a fringe contender, like looking to contend next year. I at least know from a value standpoint, a quarterback who goes 1 overall to the Titans, where it's looking more and more likely like he will be that first overall pick and go to the Tennessee Titans. You know the value security of a player like that, even if the player, admittedly, we've been very vocal about the fact that we don't think Cam Ward from a production standpoint is going to be like a huge needle mover in fantasy football. Think like, you know, a comparable to like a Jordan Love type of, you know, player at his ceiling. But I do think his value is going to be very insulated for, you know, a couple of years, as they're going to give him multiple years to try to figure out how to be the starter there in Tennessee. Not to mention, it's very possible he could be successful. He's a very skilled quarterback, and I do think, you know, while this quarterback class overall is weak and there's not like a really true standout, and yes, Cam Ward would probably be the quarterback 5 in last year's class. We saw last year's quarterback 5, Michael Penix, Bo Nix, whoever you want to say, already starting in the league. Both of them tasted success. Bo Nix was very good this year. And so, you know, I do think those guys can be competent quarterbacks. I'll take my shot again because A, it could end up being a huge hit if he's, you know, fantasy relevant. But B, I'm really, really feeling comfortable about the value of a quarterback that goes 101. So I'll take him at the 1.5. And again, that's kind of the safe pick.
Everyone's been wanting to see the Chargers draft a tight end for years and years and years and years. They finally do here, and they get Tyler Warren, who falls all the way to them at the 22nd overall pick in the first round. This is one where, spoiler alert, Loveland actually is drafted ahead of Tyler Warren at 114 to the Indianapolis Colts. I don't think anyone would really want to take him over a guy like Warren in a way better situation in LA, especially with the skill set that Warren has. I think that's more immediately translatable to being a productive tight end as a rookie. That's just my personal opinion. I think this would be phenomenal for him in a Greg Roman offense. You've seen Andrews and the success that he has had in the past in a Greg Roman offense. They're basically going to try to replicate that with this pick.
And this obviously isn't like a, you know, down the board awesome mock draft scenario. I think there are some things in here to be like, yeah, that kind of suck, especially the wide receivers that fell to the second here. Mm-hmm. However, I do think there are multiple good picks in this range. I think Warren's the right pick, and we're going to get a lot of crap for taking Warren this high. Going to the Chargers, guys, I mean, Warren's going to be an explosive playmaking tight end, a tight end premium leagues, which this is a tight end premium league we're mocking for. There's absolutely no reason he shouldn't be a top 6 pick. He will return on value at that price. I'm going to go Matthew Golden at 1.7. We talked about Matthew Golden at length in some of the videos last week, why his analytical profile doesn't lend itself to that of somebody who we would be comfortable drafting just because they have the efficiency metrics. They have the proven production. They have the bakery score, right? But the thing about Golden is, and you know, we came away from last week's video thinking, you know, there's not a ton of scenarios where we would draft Matthew Golden. At the point where he got 112 draft capital of the Cowboys, with as good as his film is, with as good as every NFL scout who knows way more than Nathan and I, as good as every, you know, person that works for way bigger networks who knows more than Nathan and I, GM who knows more than Nathan and I, is saying, hey, Matthew Golden is a first round guy and these wide receivers are not. I mean, okay. Like, you're not going to see us have a take on look, yes, we are very analytics heavy. We be the first to admit that. But we also have to lean in a little bit into what other people's strengths are. And, you know, other people have a pretty good, you know, ability to evaluate players and their talent. And a lot of times, you know, especially if, for example, Ladd McConkey, the analytics don't tell the whole story. And so while we would be lower than Golden, I think he would go a little bit higher than this. He'd go higher than Warren in this scenario and probably Cam Ward. We're not going to be shy about ranking him or taking him if this does happen. Obviously, going to the Cowboys playing alongside CeeDee Lamb, I think his strengths there would be really accented, and I think that you would see that being a very good landing spot for him. So 107, I think, is perfectly appropriate.
I'm going to practice what we preach, and I'm going to take a day 2 running back that goes in the 3rd round here. That I'm going to go the other way to make people happy. But Quinshon Judkins to the Las Vegas Raiders, 304.
If you had taken Samson, I would have stopped the video because I'm like, I can't answer all the comments.
Cannot.
No.
Though I do think they would belong in the same tier if this were to happen.
Don't say that.
With Samson going to the Chiefs. But Judkins to the Raiders, this would be really, really good. I think for that entire offense. Obviously, Geno coming into that situation, really the best quarterback that they've had in a long time since Derek Carr actually looked good. And it's been a while since Derek Carr has looked good. And the last time he was actually a solid quarterback, like a middle of the pack quarterback in Vegas, would have been 5 years ago.
Right.
So it's been a hot minute since we've seen competent quarterback play. And with Geno having the connection with Brock Bowers and Jacoby Myers, they may even go a wide receiver. They actually do go with a wide receiver in the 2nd round here as well. But I think with Judkins getting the like 80% of the workload there, if not more, that running back room is wide open. I think he would take it over immediately. You wouldn't really be worried about some split workload or split carries with the rest of the guys that they have there who had an opportunity to be serviceable running backs that could, take a little bit of opportunity share for the next couple of years, and they were just all awful, every single one of them. They need a running back. If they don't go Genty round 1 like they do in a lot of mocks, they will probably go with a running back in the 2nd or 3rd round. Judkins in the 3rd round would be great.
It's literally the best time of the year when we start talking about all these rookies. It is going to start, like, you're going to see more and more about these rookies, and now people are going to start waking up in your Dynasty leagues. And so we are very, very excited to announce our rookie draft toolkit for you. It's everything that you need to dominate your rookie drafts and your Dynasty leagues, because Dynasty leagues are won in April and May. This is the best time of year for Dynasty fantasy football players. But you get all sorts of stuff here. You get our rookie draft guide. You're going to get our brand new rookie draft tool, which you'll be able to use during your rookie drafts. You're going to get the full bakery database. You're going to be able to get our exclusive Discord, one-on-one advice from Nathan and I. The days of the draft and following the draft, we are literally going to be on Discord answering your questions. You also get our newest product, the rookie draft blueprint, which is included for free with every team blueprint and every annual Motherflocker membership. So you can unlock this with any Motherflocker membership at flockfantasy.com/domain. Use code domain. The annual tier is going to get you the free team blueprint and the rookie draft blueprint, but you can have everything you need going into your rookie drafts. And again, we got to make sure at this time of year that we're making the right decisions for our team. This is crucial. This is a crucial time to make sure we're winning money, and because money is cool. So flockfantasy.com/domain. I got the link in the comments if you want to check it out, but we are going to be excited to welcome some new members in April. I think at the 109 here, this is where we kind of have to practice what we preach. You've got these wide receivers in Egbuka and Burden who fell into the 2nd round. The fact of the matter is you can't really dance around the idea, here's why I think this is super outlandish, just as a sidebar. How is there a world where Ricky Pearsall and Xavier Legette are 1st-round wide receiver talents and Egbuka and Burden aren't? Yeah. I don't see it happening for that reason. I think both of these guys end up in the 1st round. That's my guess. Yep. However, we're playing the hypothetical here, right? And so this is all just a hypothetical exercise. It's not really our rankings. Again, our rankings are posted. You can go look at them. I think here you have to take Caleb Johnson, who goes in the 3rd round. He's a day 2 running back selection, but he goes to the Texans. And I think the plan would obviously be, hey, let's get what we can out of Joe Mixon this year, and then let's give the reins to Caleb. Because Caleb does have bell cow size and bell cow ability, in my opinion. I do think he would get run in year 1 as well. Not to mention, as soon as Joe Mixon gets hurt, this guy's up. He's absolutely up. I think he'd be a good fit there. You have him playing in a good offense. Well, I mean, last year was a mediocre offense, but with a good quarterback at least. Well, last year was a mediocre quarterback. Either way, there are worse situations for Caleb Johnson. I won't go out of my way to say it's a dream landing spot because it's not, and we won't use that term for everybody here. But with Caleb, I think, again, you have these guys getting 3rd-round draft capital. The 3rd-round draft capital running backs are going to be more valuable and more highly sought after than 2nd-round wide receivers. And so you're going to see it play out in this mock draft as well. We have to kind of practice what we preach there. There are no running backs here in the 2nd round, and so we have to start picking these guys off later. So
only so far down you can go the board without taking Shedeur Sanders going 3rd overall to the New York Giants. I think he will fall to this range and be consistently mocked in this range in your Dynasty rookie drafts. But if he goes top 3 to the New York Giants, you cannot pass up on him once you get to this point. I don't care what the narratives are. Really, truly. I do not care. So obviously this would be in spite of or despite Russell Wilson signing with the Giants on a 1-year deal. You would honestly have Shedeur probably sit for a year. And if that's the case, I'm still taking him in the late first round as a top 3 pick in the NFL draft. That is way too much team investment for them to just pass up on ever starting him. In fact, I would go as far as saying it would probably be more likely than not that Shedeur is actually starting this season at some point if he were drafted to the Giants, even with the Russell Wilson signing. So again, take that landing spot with a grain of salt. If Shedeur actually does go top 3, I would bet that he goes to the Browns before he goes to the Giants. But in this hypothetical scenario where this happens and he does go to the Giants, I still think you got to take him 110.
There are multiple guys I want to take here. I'm going to go with Emeka Egbuka, going 204 to the Jags. Again, second-round wide receiver. I'm not thrilled he doesn't get first-round draft capital in this scenario, but he does go to a situation where he's playing alongside one of the best breakout receivers, one of the best rookie stories last year in the league, Brian Thomas Jr. And Egbuka and BTJ would fit well together. Make no mistake, they would fit very well together.
That would basically be that would be Liam Cohen replicating the Mike Evans and Chris Godwin pairing.
That's exactly what it is.
They would both be very productive.
And Egbuka's not Godwin from a talent perspective if he doesn't get the draft capital. But do remember, Chris Godwin was a third-round pick. I think either way, Jacksonville does have to get somebody that they can use a lot out of the slot, and this would be
they got to replace Kirk somehow.
And you're buying into a Liam Cohen offense where you don't really know what it's going to look like now that he is the head coach of a team. And Trevor Lawrence has been so wishy-washy as he's been in the league from a fantasy production perspective.
Yeah.
But I think you at this point at the 111 are willing to take the shot. Again, there are multiple guys here that we're going to talk about that could go at the 111. This is going to be a huge tier. If you want to move any of the guys up behind him above Egbuka, I'm fine. But at this point, I think he would start going at this point. So
I'm going to go with Jackson Dart here, 21st overall to the Pittsburgh Steelers, round 1 draft capital. This is phenomenal, in my opinion. I think this is great. You've got DK Metcalf, who they just signed, paid $30 million a year to, basically. If you look into the details, it's not really that guaranteed. But I think this would be an underrated situation for a quarterback that I think has a lot of solid traits, and in my opinion is more pro-ready than a lot of people give him credit for. So if the Steelers took a shot on him here in the latter third of the first rounds, again, I think in a super flex format, he is absolutely worth taking a late first round shot on, just like Sanders.
I think I'm going to go Loveland here. He goes 114 to the Colts. Not a great landing spot, but in the early second, when you're getting a mid-first round tight end here, I think it's a pretty safe pick.
You can't make the Bowers mistake.
No, you can't. And so he falls this far. Again, that's a huge tier here, starting with Sanders, Egbuka, maybe even Caleb Johnson. But Loveland getting that first round draft capital we like. He goes to a situation where he can be a playmaker there from day one. He's obviously very talented from a analytical standpoint. He's very close to Tyler Warren. In fact, he might be above Tyler Warren depending on what model you're looking at. And so 201, again, you're using your early seconds here and getting what could be an elite tight end, where tight ends are in huge demand right now, especially in tight end premium leagues. And so with Loveland, I don't love the short-term situation in Indianapolis, but do keep in mind that Anthony Richardson will be the quarterback there for this year, and that's it.
Yeah.
So
Luther Burden goes to the Raiders, 205. I didn't spoil it earlier when they decided to go with Quinshawn in the third round, so obviously this is what would happen. They'd probably go with a wide receiver in the first or second. A guy like Burden, if they were able to land Burden at the 205 in the NFL draft, I think that'd be an absolute steal, and I would be so stoked. Would that hurt Jacoby Myers? I don't really think so, because Myers has been productive with Bowers and with Devontae Adams on the field at the same time. I think this is just another weapon that they're going to add offensively that will reap the benefits of having competent quarterback play and a competent head coach, at least a very good head coach. That's going to be a Hall of Fame head coach in Pete Carroll. So I think this could even be an underrated landing spot, really. If Burden fell and he ended up falling to the early second rounds in your Dynasty rookie drafts as well, I would be ecstatic about that. I really would be.
There's a lot of guys here. Again, we have some second-round wide receivers, but I think you have to go back to the third-round running backs here. And there are really two guys here that I think we should take back-to-back.
Yes.
Dylan Sampson, the Chiefs. He went early third above Judkins, Johnson, and the reason we haven't taken him is because I don't want to. I just don't trust it. I don't want to hear it. Like, honestly, Nathan tried to take him in the first week, and I didn't let him. But you honestly look theoretically. And this is what I wanted to explain on the last video, but if Dylan Sampson gets early third-round draft capital and goes to the Chiefs, why would he not go in the top 16 picks of Dynasty rookie draft? Somebody explain that to me in the comments. If the Chiefs drafted him in the early third round, why would he not go in the top 15? Regardless of what we know now, do you realize that every way we have rookies ranked now, or everything we think about the rookies, is going to change with the NFL draft? This would be one of those things. If you look at last year's draft, of course, you had guys that... Think of Jaden Reed 2 years ago, for example. Nobody had Jaden Reed on their radar in terms of ranking him aggressively with any of those wide receivers in that class. It was a good wide receiver class.
And he fell because of it.
And he fell because of it, but we had to adjust after the draft. He jumped from being projected fourth. Everybody thought he was a no name, whatever. And he ended up going in the second round. This is the same thing, guys. In this scenario, if Dylan Sampson goes to the Chiefs in the early 3rd round in day 2 to the Chiefs, why would he not go in the early 2nd? Why could he not go at the 112? I really, really want you to answer that question. But I do think, you could. I'm not going to be. Actually, I will do it because I can defend it better. Dylan Sampson. I'll do it. Dylan Sampson, 203. Again, if he gets early 3rd round draft capital, you look here. He's the highest rated running back on the board still. The next guy, it was going to be the guy we probably take next. But a early 3rd round draft capital running back like this going to contender, I don't know how you pass that up. I don't know how you pass it up in rookie drafts. I will not pass it up if it happens like this.
Yeah, I mean, I'm following up with the same reasoning with the last running back that's in the 3rd round that's left, and that's Damian Martinez to the Pittsburgh Steelers.
This would be sick.
If he goes mid-3rd round to the Pittsburgh Steelers, who just moved on from Najee Harris, and you saw the usage that Najee Harris had, cap ceiling that he had, and athletic ability ceiling that he had, he was still productive, and he had 4 straight 1,000-yard seasons. Damian Martinez, if he goes here in the mid-3rd round with the skill set that he has and the red zone opportunity alone that he would get in short goal line opportunities would be just a dream. This would be beautiful, especially with Jackson Dart coming in. They would actually have a semblance of a passing game. Ideally, with a guy like Dart drafting him 1st round, that's what they would expect. That's what we would expect. And I think you would get a really, really nice value out of Martinez with some pretty significant upside opportunity as a mid-2nd round pick in your Dynasty rookie drafts.
Now, theoretically, if Jaden Higgins were going to the late 2nd here, again, historically, those hit rates aren't great.
Right.
I think Jaden Higgins could get 1st round draft capital. I really do. I hope he does. I think it would be a huge boost to the class. I think he'd go in the 1st round of Dynasty rookie drafts. But he goes to the Chargers. I think he's a great fit for Jaden Higgins. I'm going to take him here at the 205.
Yeah.
Again, the hit analytically, not a great hit rate. I don't care. I like him. I think NFL scouts are higher on him than this. And I think if he were to go to the Chargers, regardless of where he's drafted, I think he would produce. And I think he fits in that offense. I mean, he would be, the X there, but he's better than any of the guys they have in there, including Quentin Johnson. He's way better than Quentin Johnson was coming out of college. In my opinion, way better. And Quentin Johnson got 1st round draft capital. And yeah, sure, everybody thought QJ was good at the time. But I think from if we're being honest about what his weaknesses were, Jaden Higgins doesn't have those type of weaknesses in his game. And so Higgins, I think in the mid-2nd, I expect him to go at least here or higher when it comes time for the draft.
All right, it's Travis Hunter time.
Yeah.
Cannot avoid him anymore. 104, 4th overall to the New England Patriots, as he's labeled as an athlete. Not a corner, not a wide receiver. Don't know what it's going to be. I'm tired of just exhausting the what ifs with him. He is Travis Hunter. He is one of the best athletes that we have ever seen, period. And with him getting top 5 NFL draft capital, I'm happy to take a shot on him here at the 206 with Drake May, with Mike Vrabel now as the head coach there. This would be an opportunity for him to actually be productive as a wide receiver there, regardless of the amount of snap opportunity that he actually ends up getting. I'll take the opportunity and the upside alone here at the 206.
207, I'm going to take Trey Harris, who went mid-2nd to the Seattle Seahawks. Be a great fit for Harris. Him and JSN alongside each other would really I think their strengths complement each other well. You don't know what the offense is going to look like in terms of how much they're going to pass the ball, which, is a little bit uneasy, but you do know that they got rid of, they don't have Lock anymore. They obviously traded away DK. They don't really have the tight ends that were soaking up those targets. And so there is a lot of target opportunity there in year 1 for Trey Harris. He's a very talented receiver, pretty polarizing in terms of what people think of him. But if he goes mid-2nd here and he goes to a team where, you have Sam Darnold there, we don't know what it's going to look like, but I am willing to take a mid to late 2nd shot on him at this point.
The drop off here is awful. It's disgusting.
It's bad.
This is terrible. I don't even know who to take. Terrence Ferguson, tight end to the Denver Broncos. You obviously just saw that 2-year deal with Evan Ingram going to Denver, so you would expect that while they were previously being mocked to take a 1st round tight end, that is no longer the case. But they could still take a day 2 shot on a guy like Ferguson, who has a pretty good analytical profile. He would obviously have a couple of years to really develop under Evan Ingram. But also keep in mind that Evan Ingram doesn't really play a true tight end role in any offense. He's more of a slot wide receiver than anything. So while a lot of people might believe that Ferguson won't get much opportunity at all right out the gate, you could see Ferguson and Ingram be on the field at the same time, truly. So don't overlook that landing spot if Ferguson does get that opportunity. I think it could be something that down the road you would be happy about taking that shot in the late 2nd round.
So to clarify, my guess is once we get, a full draft and a full 4th round and 5th round, I bet you're going to have running backs that start going here in the 2nd that we would take over all these guys. But we only have a 3-round sample size, so we're just going to, for the sake of the exercise, take the guys who are available here. It gets really tough here. Gosh. I guess I'll take Mason Taylor here. He actually goes early second, so he gets pretty good draft capital going to the Jets. I mean, obviously he would be the starting tight end from the Jets. He had a pretty good combine, so he's on everybody's radar now. And I think NFL teams like him as well. And if he gets early second round draft capital here, again, 210 to the Jets. Yeah, really the main concern there, obviously, is number one, going to the Jets, cursed organization for the most part. Number two is Justin Fields is his quarterback, which, but there's not really a ton of other people here that I want to take. We're down to wide receivers, quarterbacks, and a tight end left. And again, they're all draft capital is all in the third. So
yeah, 9 times out of 10, 99 times out of 100, I refuse to take a shot on a third round quarterback. But at this point with these landing spots and the fact that Cleveland just totally neglects the quarterback position altogether here, in theory, like would they have to sign Rodgers and free agents? Who are they going to go with? Seriously, Jalen Milroe in the third round is who they're going to who they're going to bet on. If Jalen Milroe, with his rushing upside and how he looked at his pro day, goes to the Cleveland Browns early third round, you might even see him go a little bit higher than this if Cleveland really is dumb enough to entirely neglect the quarterback position this year and ride with him in the third round. So keep an eye on that. I doubt it happens, but again, that's something where my hands are kind of just tied with these landing spots in this mock draft, and I'm going to go with that.
I'll take Jalen Royals here going to the Chicago Bears. I guess the hope for Jalen Royals would be that, I don't know. Honestly, with Roma Dunze there, with DJ Moore, I don't think he gets into that wide receiver 2 role unless injury. That'd probably only be that'd only be a way he's relevant. So I'll take him here. I like his profile. I think he ends up being a second round pick. I hope he gets a better landing spot.
Yeah. I'm gonna make this pick just as a little bit of a shout out. We have not talked about Kyle Williams much at all, but wide receiver to San Fran at the end of the third round here. Keep an eye on Kyle Williams. He actually tested really, really well at his pro day. He's actually bumped up to, I think, wide receiver 8 now on the Bakery.
That's pretty high.
That's very high compared to where he was previously. So he's definitely, like, with the metrics that we have in that are tangible, that are real metrics, that aren't just guesses and projections. He's someone that we've seen get mocked day 2 and by professional scouts, not named us. And he's someone that if he goes to San Fran in the third round, this is one where I'd be like, hey, maybe they do actually deal Brandon Ayuk and they start to go on that. They start to ride with the rookie deals at the wide receiver position with Pearsall, with Kyle Williams, with Juwan Jennings, and then they have Kittle and CMC riding them out for the rest of their career as well. So something to keep an eye on, but stay tuned for Kyle Williams and us having a conversation about him, I think, in future rankings videos.
I'm going to clarify this again. These are not our rankings. We do not have the players, the rookies going into this draft ranked in this order. In fact, we don't have it anywhere close.
Yeah.
If you would like our rankings, they're available in video form, and we're going to be putting out some new ones here very soon. Now, both of us also have our rookies ranked over on the site, and so that's where you can see our official rookie rankings, and they're a little bit more up to date.
Yes.
But this is just an exercise seeing if this were to happen, if this player was taken at this spot by this team, how would you take them in rookie drafts? This is how we would take them. This is not how we think it's going to go. This is not a prediction. This is not our rankings. It's just for fun. So I hope you had fun. Make sure you drop a like. Make sure you're subscribed as well if you play Dynasty. Again, Dynasty's heating up. Rookie draft, it's going to be here very soon. And once we get to that point, again, you can win your leagues in your rookie drafts. And so it's really important, I think, to pay attention this time of year to everything that's going on so you can keep tabs on the channel. I mentioned earlier our rookie draft toolkit. Again, you're going to get everything you need here. We're going to take care of you for your rookie drafts. Nathan and I mean, at this point, we're all in on this. And so we are going to make sure before, during, and after the draft, you are taken care of both one-on-one, from a one-on-one standpoint, and DMs on our Discord channels, on the On The Clock channel on the Discord, but also from a tools and resources standpoint, we've got you. So flockfantasy.com/domain. Use code domain, sign up for the Motherflocker tier to receive all that. The annual Motherflocker tier is going to get you that rookie draft blueprint that we just released and the team blueprint that goes with it. But we appreciate you guys. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you later.